What's up, guys? It's James Hernandez. How's everybody doing? And welcome to another movie review. And today I'm going to be reviewing an animated live action hybrid sports film. And that's right, today I'm going to be reviewing is Space Jam. Now, Space Jam is a 1996 animated live action hybrid sports film that stars Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. So, the plot of this movie actually centers on Michael Jordan's career when he was announcing his retirement from basketball so he can participate to play baseball just like his father, which that actually happens in real life. While that's going on, we have the Looney Tunes that were challenging these aliens known as the Nurluks, or basically known as the Monstars, in a game of basketball. So the Nurluks comes to our world and actually stole the talents of the world's famous basketball players like Charles Barkley, and then they became the Monstars, and then the Looney Tunes has to get help from Michael Jordan in order to play basketball against the Monstars so they can get the stolen talents back from the NBA players. So the first time I watched Space Jam is not the first time when it came out, because I was born in 1996 and this movie actually came out in the same year. So the first time I watched it is when it was on TV, after when I watched the Looney Tunes film that came out in 2003 called Looney Tunes Back in Action. So when I heard there was a animated sports movie that has Michael Jordan teaming up with Bugs Bunny, I thought it looks interesting. And way before we have this movie, there was like the commercials from the early 1990s that Michael Jordan had with Bugs Bunny. Even Marvin the Martian was there too. So like, if you guys thought that this was the first time that Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny team up, think again, because if you guys have noticed that that there was the commercials that Nike team up with Warner Brothers to do that Michael Jordan did with Bugs Bunny, that was the first time that they actually teamed up with each other in those commercials, way before that that Space Jam existed in 1996. So after watching Space Jam, what do I think of it? Let's find out. So let's talk about the animation for this movie. Now, the animation mostly is actually 2D hand drawn, and the animation is actually really nice to this day. Like when you look at like the Looney Tunes or even the Monstars, they actually look very well drawn, really well animated, and it looks very creative. Because mostly on the Monstars, they actually do look really cool. Like not only that the fact that they actually stole the talents from the famous basketball players, but they actually do look very well animated. And I thought it actually looks really nicely drawn. And I think it really does hold up to this day. Even the Looney Tunes themselves actually do look like exactly like what you have expect from the Looney Tunes cartoons. Now, I remember like when I was a kid, like I would be so bored of the live action scenes or even the human interactions in the movie where I was like, I just really want to see the Looney Tunes. Like, where are the Looney Tunes? I want to see Bugs Bunny. I want to see Daffy Duck. I don't want to see the boring world that in the human world or anything like that. I just want to see the cartoons. Like, I want to see the Looney Tunes. And the Looney Tunes in this movie actually are pretty good. While they may not be like their silly selves like how they are like in the old school Looney Tunes cartoons, but they actually are really funny, and they still are pretty energetic, especially Daffy Duck. And the Looney Tunes are really funny, and I actually really do like one of the voices for the Looney Tunes, and I really like the animation, and they're just like really nicely detailed and very nicely hand drawn. And what I also really like about this movie is the basketball scenes. The basketball scene, like where Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes are going up against the Monstars, is actually still fun to watch, even though it was really rushed when you watch it nowadays. But the basketball scene really does look really cool, and actually the camera angles looks like exactly like you're actually are in the game with these guys, and it's actually really cool. And what I also really like about the movie is the soundtrack. Now, this movie actually has like one of the greatest soundtracks I have ever heard from an animated live action hybrid film from 1996. Like, of course, they have the iconic Space Jam theme song, which was played in the opening credits. But we also got some other songs, like we had Basketball Jones, and we have I Turn to You, For You I Will. And they also have I Want to Fly Like an Eagle, like when Michael Jordan was like testing his basketball skills. And even they have the other one called I Believe I Can Fly. That is also a really nice song. And what I also really like about this movie is mostly the slapstick is when is usually like when the Looney Tunes first play basketball without knowing how to play basketball was really funny. And like I said, the Looney Tunes were just like so hilarious, and then I do think that it still holds up. And there actually are still like their silly selves, like how they were in the cartoon. I would say like about 80%, but they're still really funny. Now, as much as I really want to give this movie a 10 out of 10, I cannot do that because while I do enjoy Space Jam, I do have some couple problems. So the first problem I have with the movie is that while I do think the animation is actually really nice, there were some 3D animation where I was like, it looks so bad. Because there was one 3D animation where it looks pretty bad in my opinion, was the scene like where the Monstars grabs Michael Jordan and he just like turns him into a basketball. And then I was just like, what? Even when I was a kid, like when I saw that scene, like when the Monsters just like grab Michael Jordan and turns him into a basketball and then use him as a basketball, was just so ridiculously, hilariously awful. I was just like, what is this? Like, who the heck, like grabs someone and, just shapes him into a basketball size person looking like a basketball or something, and you just play with him like that. Like that is just so weird. There's even another 3D animated scene like where it looks so bad is when this character Stan, played by Wayne Knight, where he actually got squashed by the Monstars during like the middle of the basketball game, and then the Monstars actually flats him like a pancake, which that's one of the Monstars actually said. And then usually like the two dog characters actually puts put a hose in his mouth and they actually pumps the air on him. And that 3D animation effect also looks so bad. So I really did not like the 3D animation in this movie because I really don't think it looks like, I wouldn't say it's Nightmare Fuel, but I just don't think it really looks that good as the 2D animation. I just don't think it just looks that great in my opinion. If they actually like take the 3D animation like out of the movie, I think that would be acceptable. But since they're in this movie, it just looks pretty horrendous, but that's just my opinion. Now let's talk about Michael Jordan. Okay, so many people were criticizing Michael Jordan by saying like he's more of an athlete and not an actor. Okay, so to be honest, I don't think Michael Jordan is that bad of an actor in that movie. I mean, he was a basketball player in that film, and he's really like not as well acted as many people would say he is, because most of the time, like in the movie, like Michael Jordan was just like, oh yeah, I'm with the Looney Tunes. Yeah, I'm helping Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes to win a basketball game, and to which I'm like, he's an athlete, he's not an actor, and he just kind of feels like he's not really that trying. But to be fair, it's not really his fault because, like I said, he's a basketball player, not an actor. And usually, like, it feels like that he's not really interacting with Bugs Bunny or the Looney Tunes. Even the other problem I have is that, like, the Looney Tunes were just, like, jumping into, like, Michael Jordan's face without even, like, giving him enough space. Like, I understand the Looney Tunes are very energetic and they're very excited to see Michael Jordan, but I kind of felt like they're not really giving Michael Jordan space to, like, where I was like, whoa, hold up, guys. Like, give Michael Jordan space. Like, you're actually invading his space because, just calm down. And usually, like, when the Looney Tunes were, like, jumping straight at Michael Jordan when they were so excited to see him, like, when Michael Jordan got pulled into the golf hole, it just feels, like, so out of place. And that's, like, one of the problems I have with Space Jam. The other problem I kind of had with the movie is that I don't want to criticize this character too much, but I had to say, I got to talk about Lola Bunny for a minute. Now, this was Lola Bunny's first appearance in the Looney Tunes because she hasn't appeared in any of the Looney Tunes cartoons. So basically, Space Jam was the first time that we actually see Lola Bunny. And everyone has talked about her. And usually, she does not have a personality other than she is just a love interest and she is known for being very attractive. And that's what I really like about Lola, like later on when she became the new member of the Looney Tunes, where she actually does have a personality and she has chemistry with Bugs Bunny. But in this one, she just comes off as being like like being something like a very attractive bunny who basically we have the highs over heels for, and it just really does not work. But hey, I mean, I guess that's the 90s. I mean, usually like sometimes like, movies back then has like female characters that are basically overly, I guess you could say overly sexualized, if that makes any sense. But anyway, so what else I want to talk about? The other thing I really want to talk about is there's actually a side plot that I really wish that we got to explore more, and that is like the plot is where all these basketball players like Charles Barkley and the others, like when they lose their talents. Now I would have liked to see more of that because of like because I would have liked to see more like of a big story with those basketball players of when they're testing and they're realizing like what happened to their basketball skills since they lost their talents. And you really felt sad for one of them because of like they really love basketball, but like when they lost their talents and they realized they're not the most famous basketball players anymore. And even when I watched it as a kid and rewatched it as an adult, I really do feel bad for these basketball players because of like they wanted to know like about what happened to their skills. Even Charles Barkley, because Charles Barkley was trying to test his skills again, and usually like these kids were just, oh, excuse me, folks. And usually these kids were just like mocking him, and they were just like, "Oh, you're just a wannabe that looks like Charles Barkley." And I thought that was so disrespectful and so rude of those kids, to the point where I was just like, "Yeah, these guys are a bunch of little, I'm not gonna say it, but you know what I mean." But yeah, like I really do feel bad for those basketball players during that. I really wish that we actually got to see more of them, during the subplot, but I kind of felt like it was rushed. So yeah, those are actually one of my problems with the movie. Now I'm going to talk about the villain of the movie, and that is Mr. Swackhammer. Now, Mr. Swackhammer is actually the main antagonist of Space Jam, and he usually is the one that actually sends the Nurlucks to go after the Looney Tunes, to basically kidnap the Looney Tunes to be part of their own theme park called Moron Mountain. And when the Monstars actually lost, he basically just like betrays them, and then, okay, not betray them, but they just actually just like kind of abuse one of the Monstars, and then he was like, "Losers, choke artists, wait till I get you back into Moron Mountain." And then usually the Monstars usually just like turn their backs on Mr. Swackhammer, and they actually sent him to outer space, and he was never seen again. It's really sad that we don't actually see Mr. Swackhammer in the sequel, since the Monstars did make a cameo in Space Jam: A New Legacy. But it was really disappointing that we don't get to see Mr. Swackhammer in the sequel. I think that would have been really nice if we actually got to see Mr. Swackhammer. And also, Mr. Swackhammer is voiced by Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito has been like doing like many movies like back like in the '90s, and especially he's been like doing some really good roles in his movies. And yeah, I think that's all I got to say about Mr. Swackhammer. So yeah, so overall, I really do enjoyed Space Jam. Is it perfect? Not necessarily, but I actually do have fun memories watching this movie. I still watched it, and I really do enjoy seeing the Looney Tunes and Michael Jordan teaming up to play basketball against the Monstars. The animation, mostly the 2D animation, I think it really does hold up. The 3D, not so much. And I really wish that Michael Jordan was more acted, because I mean it's not really his fault, but even though he's a basketball player, not an actor. And I really wish they would give Lola Bunny more of a personality, which they actually do later on, like when she became the new members of the Looney Tunes. So overall, I really do enjoy Space Jam. It does have its problems, and but I do think everything is really good about the movie. I think the soundtrack really does hold up. It's got really nice music, really good animation. The scenes with the Looney Tunes is just very energetic. It's actually really fun to watch. It just brings back a lot of memories of us being a kid watching the Looney Tunes, because I grew up with the Looney Tunes, and I even still love the Looney Tunes to this day. So whenever like the Looney Tunes is on TV, I always watched it. And even like when there's a Looney Tunes movie coming up, I definitely will go see them, because I grew up with the Looney Tunes, and the Looney Tunes did not disappoint me of being funny. So I really love the Looney Tunes, and I'm really happy that I was able to watch Space Jam after when I watched Looney Tunes back in action. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give Space Jam a average 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. It may not hold up as much as like some of the other animated films or even some of the movies from the 90s, but I still think it's still a fun movie, and I'd recommend this movie if you guys are fans of the Looney Tunes, and if you guys really like to play basketball. Like I might not be a huge sports fan, but I actually did watch some sports movies and even watched a sports anime like Kuroko's Basketball, for example. But this is the film that I actually really do enjoy watching, and I really do recommend this movie for fans of if you grew up in the 90s, if you love the Looney Tunes as a kid and you still love the Looney Tunes to this day, and even if you are like a sports fan, like mostly on basketball, then I recommend this movie. So go get Space Jam and go buy it. So folks, that is my review for Space Jam. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of Space Jam? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Did you still love it to this day? Or do you think this movie doesn't age very well? Or do you feel like this movie is not that great? Like, why is everyone so overhyped about it? Or do you think, oh, I hate this movie. That wasn't even that good. Why is everyone so excited about it? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions. And also, in case you guys are brand new here, feel free to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and turn on the notifications when I make brand new videos. And stay tuned for the next video that I'm going to be reviewing Street Fighter X Tekken, since that's basically a video game crossover where the Street Fighter characters fight the Tekken characters. And since the Street Fighter movie is going to be arriving about 2 months, I thought I wanted to take a look at Street Fighter X Tekken, so it's basically a video game crossover. So stay tuned for that project, after this. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope you guys enjoyed my review for Space Jam. This is James Hernandez. Hope you guys had a great day, and take good care of yourselves. Peace out.
Well, that's all, folks.
That's my line.
Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all!
That's all, folks.
Can I go home now?